All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and get started. It looks like there might be some people showing up, which shows me that the stream is uploading. Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, the 13th of January, 2023. Man, unbelievable. Going down the pike already. I'm doing this a little earlier in the day today because of some things that have happened. I just wanted to get it up and out there. There are a lot of good people out there reporting, as you know. I've mentioned so many of them. Redacted is on right now, at least in my time zone. That's Clayton and Natalie Morris, who always do such a good job. They often have Colonel Douglas McGregor on, Scott Ritter, a lot of good people like that. Also, Judge Napolitano has a lot of going on about this time of the day. Just a lot of different people, so I kind of feel like I might be taking away from them. Hello, everyone, as you come in. Nice to see you. But as I've said in the title here, there's some things that I felt like I needed to address, even with my small influence, if at all. But at least using the First Amendment and getting it out there for whoever wants to use it for their information. I think probably most of you know what I'm going to talk about, the subject matter, but I just want to mention it anyway. First of all, what in the hell is the FBI director Christopher Wray doing at the Davos get together there in Switzerland? What's this about? Why would the FBI director be on the guest list and going to Davos? Now, Davos 7 just today, and this is not new. Davos 7 just today put up a video about Klaus Schwab saying that there's going to be a cyber attack, and he's been saying that for a long time, and then everything's going to go dark. In other words, you won't be able to use your water, you won't be able to use your heat, you won't be able to get to the bank. All of these things that they're prepping, they tell you what they're going to do before they do it, and this is all BS. Everything that's going on in the Western societies, I think they'd like to actually influence and do things in the global south too, but I don't think they have the strength there that they would like. And I'm talking about the WEF, etc. At any rate, Dabu 7 brought this up, and I have no doubt that that's going to happen at some point in the near future. I don't have a timetable, but I just know they've been talking about this for a long time. About the different cryptocurrencies and things that they want to use, not for your benefit, but to control you, and all of that's going on, which is another reason why you have Russia pulling away. Now, I understand that there are 5,000 troops guarding Klaus Schwab in his meeting there in Davos. 5,000. I'd like to know what countries are giving those troops there to guard those criminals, because that's what they're doing, is they're guarding criminals. I've called for a long time. I've said, if Putin is really serious about standing up against the WEF and the New World Order, he needs to take out those people, especially people like Schwab, Gates, Harari, and I could name a whole bunch of others. However, arrest them internationally, however he wants to do it. But 5,000 troops guarding these people, why? Why do they need 5,000 troops? From people like me, from regular demonstrators? No, it's because there are governments that are seeing them as a threat. And they are. They are, in fact, a threat. They are a threat not just to individual nations, but to mankind as a whole, as I've been saying for so long. Now, I realize that Klaus Schwab, he's out front of everybody. Everybody sees him. So, the real hands that are doing all this stay behind the scenes. You either never know who they are, or at least they're not involved. It could be, the King of Britain at this point, Charles, as one of the big handlers. I really don't know. It could be, and of course, and then the Rothschilds are there poking their finger in the king's chest. So chances are he's not even a top dog. But the point is, we can see that at least at that level of the command structure, and that Klaus Schwab is a bad actor. Okay, no matter how you cut it, he and his little sidekick Harari, he wants to, take away your freedom of choice and all that. And you all should know all those things. So my take on this 5,000 troops isn't to protect them from people like us, regular demonstrators. There are apparently other state actors that may like to take those out. Now, I didn't mean to interfere. Well, I was listening to Monograph the other night, and I don't think he actually put up, I don't think it was a live stream, it may have been. But I don't want to take thunder away from him, but I heard him mention that he thinks, and I don't know what he's using to make that judgment call from, but he thinks that with this huge group of people that are meeting there, that it is a very tempting target for Putin, for Xi. Well, she's kind of involved in it to some extent, but like I said, I think they're pulling away. You know, the whole thing with BRICS, which I'm going to talk about again about the thievery in a minute. But I would think that they are really worried about state actors. Now, I've never been to Davos, and I haven't really looked at a topographical map to see what it looks like, but I think it's protected by some mountain ranges, which would make it for a pretty tough place to operate in, at least without doing it from the air or from satellites or whatever. So I'm not suggesting that any of that's going to happen. I'm just saying that if it does, I will give it a great applause, because those people are so evil. They need to be corralled. Which brings us back full circle to FBI Director Wray. Now we know about this distraction. I'm not saying it isn't a problem, but there's this distraction with Biden's, top or classified documents being found in all sorts of different places, and none of this makes any sense, especially since those things apparently were originally found, at least the first batch of them, back just prior to the election, the midterms. And if that's the case, then all of this is maybe it was even the 2020. I'm not sure. I think it was just the midterms. Obviously, there's election interference and suppression going on by the government, by government agencies, and that means the administrative or the national security apparatus that is actually running this. And as you know, I've said before, motto of my channel, the intelligence community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. Read National Security State. That's basically the same thing. The Last Refuge, the conservative treehouse, put out an entire thing, which I've mentioned before, about it being the fourth branch of government, right? This national security, actually the fifth. It would be the fifth in the way I look at it, because I go, we the people is the first branch of government, then the legislative, then the executive, then the judicial. So I look at that as the four branches in that regard. The fifth being this unelected, this usurping, tyrannical, autocratic, conquering fifth element, which is basically the intelligence complex, which would include DOD, the FBI, the DOJ, the Department of State, and the intelligence agencies, all of that. So they have actively worked against, and I can and I know I jump around a lot. I can understand not wanting to trust buffoons being elected to public office. I understand that. But to handle it this way, where you're doing things in secret, behind closed doors, ruining people's lives, framing people, causing wars and stuff like that, which is really worse. At least with the elected people, you can hold them somewhat accountable. So I don't know how Congress is going to handle all this stuff with the Twitter files and the situation with the Biden laptop and the situation with all the situations that they found with the trafficking problems and all these things. The agreements that have been made outside of the proper diplomatic channels with foreign nations and bad actors by people in our government. Schiff is finally going to get thrown off the House Intelligence Committee. Thank goodness, he should never have been there in the first place. But at any rate, we know all this corruption. The point is that all of this is aimed at you. And I've said that for a long time. It's aimed at you. Okay, that's where they're really coming, and that's basically what Schwab is saying. Oh, you'll eat the bugs, and you'll own nothing and be happy. That's these people who want to do this. The people that you think are working for you when they're not. And a lot of elected representatives are in on it. That Brad Little in Idaho, he's a piece of crap. We find out, that the Department of Defense, because of lawsuits and because of all the legal situations, has had to suspend the requirement for the treatment. I'll read between the lines. Well, Brad, and going to have to rehire a lot of people. The Congress is going to, I think, force that, bring them back. Let's see if that can actually happen. I don't know. But Brad Little's standing firm because he's a bad actor. He's a bad actor, and I don't know how good of a governor Ammon Bundy would have been. He was running against Brad Little, but anybody at this point would be better than Brad Little, who's obviously a snake, just like Adam Schiff. So full circle, we come back around, and we're going to talk again about FBI Wray. What's he doing going to this thing over in Switzerland? Is he meeting with other intelligence people to find out information that will help him secure and protect the people of the United States? No, that's not what he's doing there. That's not the purpose of this thing. The purpose of this thing is, how do you enact more tyranny over your population? That's what this is. And FBI Wray's there. Again, it proves who he is and what he is. And I want to point that out so that everybody knows. 13 GOP. Yeah. And I realize there are other people, legislators. I know. And that just shows you how bad this really is. I mean, they've already admitted, Klaus Schwab admitted that in almost all parliaments, like in Canada, he said that. He's, of course, in our legislators, our attorneys general, state attorneys general, etc., that they put, Soros is going along with us, that they have planted their little followers, their little young global leaders in with those people, and they're sabotaging our governments, okay? And nobody's there to protect us because the people that could have been compromised. 13 GOP leaders going there. If they're not going there to spy on Schwab and his company, they're going there to see, as I gave the information the other night, they're engaging in a political hypergamy. That's what they're up to. So Christopher Wray, as far as I'm concerned, is a criminal, and he's proving that he's also a traitor, okay, by proof. Okay, that's the first thing. I wanted to get that out. Second is, I'm not a financial guy. That's bad for me to say. When you're not aware of how some system works, you should get your knuckles dirty, get down there and start understanding the financial system, especially the investments, especially the way things work at the national levels and the international levels and all that. But I'll admit that I don't. However, I do understand, I think, from my law enforcement background, that there are some real shady things going on with these sanctions on Russia. And now, of course, the EU in particular, along with the United States, wants to seize Russian citizens and corporations' assets in the West, or anyone who assists, or I should say, doesn't go along with the sanctions against Russia. So that would mean people from Saudi Arabia, people from India who have investments in the West. They want to seize those things. Now, if you don't understand the implications of this, the Duran talked about it this morning, Alex Christoforou and Alexander Mercouris. I think Mercouris is, he's definitely a political scientist, and I think he's a major economist as well. He's talked about that he rubs elbows with people who are members of parliament and stuff like that. So he's well connected. I think he understands a lot of these things. And when I listened to them this morning, it occurred to me what's really happening here. There are international laws that prevent, for instance, this war going on with Russia and Ukraine, which is actually a war between Russia and NATO, and they've admitted that now. There are international laws that prevent you from going in and seizing assets. Now, in war, all sorts of things happen. But when you violate your own laws, or you try to alter your own laws to affect not only individuals but people not directly involved in the conflict. Okay, uh, that's thievery, and that's what they're talking about. They're talking about seizing assets, and the United States even has taken certain Russian oligarchs' property, thinking that that's going to influence Putin, which of course it isn't. The idea is to get all this money, and they say to send it to Ukraine to help Ukraine build. Well, you know very damn well that's not what it's for. They'll give them a pittance, right? Just like in a lot of these nonprofit organizations, that if the people are lucky, 1% of the money that these different agencies take in, like and I don't want to name any, but these nonprofit assistance organizations, let's put it that way, they're lucky if 1% of the money gets to the people that need it, right? All of it's spread around for everybody else. And I saw that firsthand in one that I was in, and I got out of it, okay, because I could see what it was being used for. So at any rate, what this boils down to is this. This is going to end up being another attack on you, on us as a people. Why? This is the reason why, in my estimation. Again, I'm not a financial guy, but I can see the ramifications of this as this thing goes out. If the EU, NATO, and the United States, all that, if they do this to the Russian people, which they're going to do, they're going to violate their own laws, or at least tweak them so that they think they can get by the international law and conduct this thievery. If they do that, then people who have investments in the West, including Saudi Arabia, India, Indonesia, Thailand, China, etc., 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 you know that there's a monetary system that is trying to pull away from the Western banking system, the IMF and all that, and it's called the BRICS. And there's some other appendages to that where they're trying to get away from the control of the petrodollar, which is falling anyway. The petrodollar is going to fail in the not too far distant future. It already is. But my point is this. If these different nations have been investing in us and into the Anglo-American Alliance and NATO, etc., those countries, and they see that their money cannot be kept there safely, but that it's going to be stolen from them under some pretense of them assisting Russia, what are you going to do? What are they going to do? Before that can be enacted, in my opinion, this is on the verge of happening right now, if it's not already in progress. They're going to start taking their money out of the stock exchange in New York and out of these different companies they've invested in here. Out of your pension funds. They're going to start removing their money out of the pension funds. Like China invests a lot in our pension funds here. Okay? They're going to start removing their money and then putting it into this new system that's being created by organizations like the BRICS. In other words, this is going to be another attack on the dollar. And it's justified. It's a justified action by these other nations because of the illegality, unlawful criminal conduct of this and this. So I wanted to kind of give my input on that because I can see that I've seen similar things in my law enforcement career, very much at a micro level compared to this, but the same circumstances exist there. And so I'm thinking that not only will Klaus Schwab want to turn off the internet and the electricity and all of that to keep you from getting into your bank account, but also to try to deal with this situation that's going on here with these people trying to get their money out, which will affect you in one way or another, whether Klaus Schwab does his thing or not. So that's kind of what I thought I'd put out here today. Just a little thorn in your side to give you something to think about and to do. Yeah. All right, I won't take any more of your time. I know Redacted's on, and Clayton and Natalie Morris do a good job. But I'm going to be doing some other things this evening, and so I wanted to make sure that I got this up while I could. And I hope this information helps you to prepare again. Frankly, it's getting to the point where being prepared is going to be an iffy thing as well, because a lot of bad things can happen. Even where you're keeping your stores. It could be that you can't get to there, or any number of things can happen. But you at least got to make the efforts. Okay. All right. The Great Reset continues. Yes, it does. And no, none of our government. I mean, Russia's fighting against it. Believe it or not, China, Xi Jinping, back at Davos, back at the World Economic Forum, back, I don't know, back when Trump was president, said that he was going to help derail the United States, right? Well, now, I think he knew what was going on, and maybe he meant that in the way that it is now, that because of what the Great Reset is trying to accomplish, and what the evil Western alliances are doing to steal money from people under some pretense of law, maybe he saw that coming, and that's really what he meant. I don't know. But at this point, they're withdrawing from the dollar system, from the Western banking system altogether. And all I can say is let's let them get it done, because at this point in time, this is so evil that the survival of mankind is in the balance. Now, I also heard, just to finish up here, I also heard some discussion today about the possibility of, are they really going to go to nuclear war? And this was from Garland Nixon. If you don't listen to Garland Nixon, he's another good one to listen to. Very intelligent, has some really good contacts, very good political commentator. He used to work with Lee Stranahan, and then Lee continued to get sicker and sicker, and he had to get out of D.C., and he lives, I think, in South Dakota right now. But at any rate, Garland Nixon went out on his own. He was on his own before they got together, but he has his own program. It's on YouTube. Garland Nixon, Garland Nixon, like the president, but he's not related, Nixon. And he was talking about a lot of this as well this morning. Actually, it was yesterday, and I was watching a recording of it. And one of the things he talked about was, do the elites really want to push us to nuclear war? Well, they want to kill us all off. There's no doubt about that. And he talks about the transhumanism and all those things. They definitely want to put us down, kill off as many of us as they can. Anybody who says there's not a population control agenda by the elites is just lying. All you got to do is look at what Kissinger said about it, at the very least. Jane Goodall is another one, even though she's really a nobody on the elitist list. But of course, then you had King Charles talking about it. His father, Prince, well, whatever his name was. Boy, I feel bad I forgot his name, but oh well, he's gone. Anyway, so will they use nuclear? Well, no, but they could use a lot of other. I mean, there are weapons that are almost as bad as nuclear weapons today that they can use, and it won't leave behind any problem with radioactivity or anything like that. So really, nuclear weapons are just, that's what we think about, but there's a much larger array of armaments these days that are just nearly as bad, if not worse, in some regard. But at any rate, Garland Nixon's point is that they don't want to die either. One of their big things is to push for, they're downloading their consciousness into a computer system and then re-uploading it into an android body at some point that'll live forever. I can understand where that comes from. It comes from Babylon, from the Tower of Babel and all that nonsense that was going on back in history and several other times. But be that as it may, they think they have the technology to do it. And of course, they're not going to be as successful as they think they are. But regardless, the bottom line that Garland Nixon said was that they want to live. They don't want to die. They want you to die. but they don't want to die, so they're not going to want to let that go that far. The problem is, as I've always said, when you play with these fires, one of them is going to get out of control. And something that you didn't anticipate is going to happen. Somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's not going to listen. Somebody's going to decide that they're the ones that are going to make the final judgment. And it could be real bad. Not to scare anybody, but just so that you're aware that these things are going on, and that I don't think that they want to go to that length. They'd rather use biologicals, chemicals, changing, blocking out the sun actually is a way to kill off humanity, because plants need sunlight for photosynthesis, and they want to cut down on the CO2 because plants use photosynthesis. CO2 is not a poisonous gas. And by the way, that reminds me, there's a volcano that erupted that they know put more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere in one day than mankind has put out from the inception, from at least 10,000 years ago. Okay, so all of this climate change and CO2 bad, and wanting to block the sun, all these are evil attacks upon life here on Earth. And I'll just end with that, but remind you that Chris Wray, the FBI director, is going to meet these guys in Davos, the WEF. What the hell is he doing there? He's a law enforcement officer, and he's not going there to learn more security procedures other than to inflict tyranny upon you. And then finally, if Saudi Arabia, China, India, and all these other nations that now see what the EU and the United States will do to moneyed people in Russia, or those who assist Russia that have money, in other words, seizing their assets, then our investment system is no longer safe and secure, and they're going to pull their money out and put it elsewhere, and that's going to affect us. All right? Okay. All right. Yes, it is. Hi, April. How you doing? That's all I got for you. I'm going to go ahead and do some other things, but I wanted to get that up this time of the day so that you know I am keeping watching on these things, knowing that I know I don't sit around all day, studying Hebrew and spiritual stuff. And I might mention, the other day when I was talking about putting up photographs of the ladies I was with, I didn't mean everybody. Okay, some people thought that I was talking, and I kind of use the Instagram, and I'm never going to use Instagram. That's not what I was saying. But sort of like an Instagram, but more of kind of what I've shown before about, how big my family has been and things like that. That's what I was talking about. A lot of people these days think, if you're not with somebody, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And I think you already know now that I'm really picky. Okay, Carol was the absolute top, as I said before. Nothing better at any woman I've ever seen, and she liked me for whatever reason. Used to say, to me, she'd say, "You're my favorite human being. I'm your girl, and you created me." Things like that, which was really amazing. So, no, I'm not gonna put up, like an Instagram thing, boasting about who I've been with and those kinds of things. That wasn't the issue. The issue was to say that I'm not desperate. Okay, that's not what's going on here. But that people need to know that I do have that side of me, and that's really all that was about. Carol must have had poor eyesight. Always somebody has to make a funny joke. Yeah, I often wondered about her ability to judge character. I'll admit it. What did she see in me? I don't know, but that loyalty went far beyond, as I told you before. And I don't expect to find that kind of thing again, but I'm definitely not going to put myself out there. And I think I've told you I have ladies who are friends. I've dated. I date quite a bit actually, but I'm not expecting anybody to be exactly like Carol. But I won't put up with any nonsense. I'm not going to put up with any game playing or anything like that. I just won't do it. I don't need to. Okay, I've already spread my seed around. I've already had all the experiences. You know, um, I have, if nothing else, I have great memories. Okay, and sometimes you can go with just that, right? Let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go, everybody. Have a great afternoon, Friday afternoon, whatever. I know some of you might be seeing this Saturday morning, whatever. But anyway, have a great day and a nice weekend. I might be back on if some other things develop. They did take Soledar. The Russians did take Soledar. Uh, the Western media is lying to you, not giving you the information because they want us to keep giving money to these money laundering situations in Ukraine. Okay, that's what that's all about. Y'all take care. We'll see you.